Our next session is a keynote by EY. Please welcome Rana Sanyoura, the partner at EY.
So what I'm going to do is actually go a bit high level, share with you the results of a survey that EY has done on a global level with more than 200 banks globally that represent more than 70% of banking assets globally. And the survey is with the C-suite and the direct reports that will share information on their outlook of 2018 and the next 3 years, what they're looking at in terms of priorities, in terms of technology, etc. So we'll try to zoom in on some emerging markets results, but I have to admit we don't have any Lebanese banks in the survey. So I'm relying on you in this room to actually share your experiences, because what I'm going to present here is more leading benchmarks or global benchmarks, some emerging markets. Emerging markets include only UAE from the Middle East. So we have Brazil, Malaysia, etc., China, but from the Middle East, it's only UAE. So when I'm going to discuss certain topics, I would like you to actually share your experiences if you would like. So in terms of, I don't know if the lighting is clear to everyone. You're fine? Okay. So the good news is that they're expecting growth. So the banks globally are expecting growth. So the majority, 83% of the banks we have surveyed, expect 2018 to be a growth year, and in the next 3 years as well to achieve and generate growth in terms of revenue and in terms of increase in the ROE as well. Now, when we zoom in a bit on the emerging markets banks, we're expecting, or they're expecting, a higher growth. Now, part of this is driven by an increase in interest rates. But nevertheless, there are different challenges that we're going to discuss. And despite the growth and you have competition, you have external and internal factors that will also affect the profitability. And that's why the challenge will be really how much sustainable is the growth and profitability. Now, in terms of actually the cost to income, on average, the banks that we have surveyed, as you will notice, and I'm sorry if the lighting is not ideal, but from 2008 until 2017, more than 20% increase in the cost base. But when it comes to the cost-to-income ratio, so it has dropped, but it's still high. So from 57% to around 50 plus percent. Now, when we look at the emerging markets ratio, it's around 40%. I know you're probably thinking in Lebanon, we have a range of maybe 30 to 50 plus 60, but this is definitely not ideal, and banks have to work on their efficiency. And that's why we're going to, in the following slides, discuss what banks are doing to actually improve their efficiencies. In terms of the areas, so the risks that, when we discuss with them, what are the key risks that you think, or the priority areas that you want to consider? Now, when we look at the strategy or their priorities, we can categorize them into 5 areas. So what is green on the slide is representing a protect mode or area. What is yellow is more of on the growth agenda. And what's on the gray, like dark, is optimizing. The light gray is control, and the blue is more reshaping. So whatever you see, like the bulk is more like protect agenda. So they want to protect what they have. And the growth is more like it used to be in 2017 when we did the survey, not on the top 3 priority list. While now in 2018, they definitely want to grow. Why? I mean, it's obvious. Because they're facing a lot of competition. They want to, they have different, cost issues and the pressures. So they need to grow their income by either tapping into new markets, or actually attracting new customers, or at least retaining their existing customers. In terms of the challenges, they're expecting to overcome these challenges. So on a global level, these represent by region. So we have global, North America, and the emerging markets, which includes UAE. So we're comparing here 2018 to 2020. So the majority of the respondents, like most of them, are expecting more towards in the coming 3 years to actually reach what we call a mature stage. Now, what do we mean by digital maturity? I mean, when we're looking, again, think of a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being nothing, I mean, hardly reading, and 5 being a digital leader. And 4, let's say, the maturing. Maturing is when we're not only thinking of what we want to do digitally or about technology, is having a digital plan, transformation plan, and also acting upon it across the board, across the value chain. So this is the emerging markets. For them, in the next 3 years, they're aiming to actually be more on the mature stage when it comes to digital. I don't know if you want us to just pause a bit here, and if you can share your experiences. I mean, if you want to rate yourselves from 1 to 5 on the digital maturity level as banks. And again, meaning, I know that in Lebanon, the banks are mostly, either they have legacy systems or trying to think, oh, we need to change the legacy system. And some of them have already done that. Some others have invested in actually revamping their core banking, etc. But can someone, would someone want to share some experience on the bank without mentioning the bank? Maybe where do they stand? How do they rate themselves from 1 to 5 on the maturity scale? Any volunteers? Are we all banks here, or do we have banking representatives? I mean, on a confidential basis, yeah, but you have 50 witnesses, yes.
If I want to rate our bank from a scale 1 to 5, I think it is divided between 2 elements, if you want to say, because part of the bank is working on being innovative and going digital and go through the transformation, and the other part of the bank is not involved in this and is continuing working on the, let's say, traditional way of banking. So I can say the second element where we are working in a traditional way, I would say -1, and the other element, the first one, where there is a huge team working on the digital transformation, I would rate us as 3 or 4. But
Okay.
It's not all the bank which is involved in this. And
Okay.
because, like we heard the speakers before, there are a lot of regulations which are preventing us of going digital.
Okay, that's very interesting, actually. Maybe we can also elaborate more on that when we talk about, the regulation and what are the challenges you're facing, because this is very relevant to all of us here. Because, it's no longer a luxury or a luxury to have go digital or technology, given the pressure, given the demand, given what's happening in the market, even Lebanon. So if there are certain constraints, I think we need to all work with as a consortium with the regulators to make sure that these are, addressed let's say, in the coming year. So thank you very much for that. Does anyone want to share other experiences? Yes, I think that's a very good point, definitely. Now, if you want to look at maybe there are different products that were launched in Lebanon, and maybe the rate of, acquisition or receptiveness in the market was not as expected. Maybe you were expecting a higher, receptiveness. Now, the question becomes, is it really because the market is not ready, or the product or the channel was not the right channel? And so, from my experience or our experiences in the region, definitely the market is ready. Now, in what sense? We're seeing the adoption of fintech. Now, I know it's a buzzword, and maybe some of you are skeptical about it. Now, I wear the hat of the MENA fintech leader, so I have to promote fintech. So, but nevertheless, what we're seeing is that the shift and the change in the adoption of fintech. What is fintech at the end of the day? It's addressing a specific problem in the market, being example payment, example borrowing, example whatever you want to call it. I mean, I'm someone in Lebanon, I want to go borrow, let's say. Do I need really to wait a long time to get accepted? And the process is not really digital. You have to go to the branch again. The whole process is really inconvenient. It's not, it takes a long time. It's not transparent, sorry to say, or as transparent, ideally transparent, and it's costly. So if let's put these as problems that we're all facing, so which means that there is a demand for a change. Whether the change is a fintech or a bank that goes digital and offers, addresses these problems, meaning addresses it through either being more convenient, transparent, cheaper, etc. So we're seeing the adoption of payment, and this is the main threat and the main effect, the impact on banks. It's been huge, globally. So I think in Lebanon, how much we didn't do a survey in Lebanon of fintech adoption, but we discuss and we see, and probably the millennials are the most ones that are more active and more pushing for it. And the older generation, you're also seeing them also very much into the social media. So do we really need to create another channel or use the social media to be our channel to our clients instead of duplicating? I'll give you an example. We helped in Korea, not in Lebanon, leading the messenger, which is like WhatsApp, to launch a digital bank. They had like 40 million plus subscribers on their chat, and we helped them niche a digital bank, and it had a very successful, launching because, I mean, okay, the market, Korea is much more advanced probably technologically, but you need to use the right channel to launch it. Maybe the experience in Lebanon was not the right channel. I don't know. We need to really diagnose the situation. And it's debatable, but I definitely think if we're only relying that, no, the demand is not there, the problems are there. The problems are there, definitely. So definitely there is a demand for a solution.
The existence of need to have a fintech solution anyway.
Yes.
You need to have an e-payment or not. Do I need an e-wallet in Lebanon or not? Eventually, you need to spend somewhere. The reason why I need an e-wallet is to deal with someone outside of Lebanon.
Yeah.
Even here. Because the whole life cycle of customers versus bank, etc., they have lots of missing parts. I'm talking about locally.
And definitely, I mean, what we advise clients to do actually is to first start with a market segmentation. So I don't offer one solution to all, okay? And this is where we use data analytics. So we employ data analytics to actually learn about different segments in the market, their needs, and life cycle, life stage, which stage are they, so that we offer them specific products to their needs, so that you're more like acquiring and able to retain your customers. Now, in terms of what we did is we asked them about their budgets. Do you expect your budget in the 2018 to 2020 to increase, decrease, and by how much? So on average, definitely we're expecting to increase. Now, some of them, but the minority actually said that they're expecting their budget to decrease, but the majority said they will increase, and some of them even more than 20%, 30%. Now, emerging markets is even higher, to be specific. We all know in terms of the budget and technology cost, over the years, the past 3 to 5 years, have dropped significantly. So if I'm going to buy the same thing 3 years ago, definitely now it's cheaper. So increasing technology spending suggests that they're definitely investing heavily. And in terms of what are the areas, why are you using technology, for what purpose? So we asked them about that, and the reply, going back, if you remember, we spoke about 5 agendas: grow, reshape, or optimize, control. and protect. So the main purpose was more to grow. So they're using technology to tap into new markets, new segments, to actually be able to increase their revenue base. And also, some of them have optimizing. Optimizing is suggesting that, let's say an example will be robotics. And again, I'm not talking to you something like that is like 5 years down the road in Lebanon. No, no. This is something, it sounds sophisticated, but actually it's not costly, and you can use robotics to actually improve the efficiency in your banking operations and replace, and it will be like less errors, 24 hours, 7 days a week, etc. So this is something we're also working with our clients in the MENA region on. Okay. Are banks making the right technology investment to achieve their strategic objectives? The majority of respondents are using them to actually, in the direction that will help them grow. I'm conscious now, Sarine is starting to. Now, we also asked them, are they trying to do much in terms of themselves? So obviously you have the choice, either to buy technology, to acquire companies, to build in-house, or to collaborate and partner with other entities. So we asked them about that. I know probably Lebanon, some of the banks like to do in-house, but when we surveyed the global banks, it's, you have some of them acquiring, some of them building internally, but the majority are not in-house. And it really depends on the area that you're talking about. So if it's like blockchain, definitely it's not in-house. So you will see different banks, global banks, acquiring stakes in the same companies that develops blockchain. So it really depends on the area of your interest. Now, coming to the main theme here, assuming that you're all interested in actually looking at the digital agenda and actually assessing yourselves, and so which questions do you need to ask yourselves? Our suggestion is you ask yourself 6 questions to assess whether you want to go into innovation-led strategy. Does my strategy take into account rapidly changing revenue and profit tools or pools? What is my role in the ecosystem, and how do I innovate efficiently? How do I implement strategic change in a rapidly evolving digital environment? And how do I change my talent to support the team, etc.? Am I sufficiently considering new risks and the need to embed cybersecurity? And how do I transform my technology and the technology organization? We also asked the global banks these 6 questions, and the answers were, when it comes to the strategy, 70% of the banks will invest in technology to strengthen their competitive positioning. Again, you cannot go directly start investing in technology before you have a clear business strategy in place. And this should be driven by actually assessing your market segment, your positioning in the market, before you start jumping into investing in technology. So this is key as a starting point. Now, in terms of what is their role in the ecosystem, meaning should we lead the technology change, should we partner, should we have a follower role mode? 37% of banks on average expect to develop new technologies in-house. Now, in terms of how do I implement strategic change in a rapidly evolving environment, 85% of banks cite implementation of a digital transformation program, which is a complete program, as a key business priority for them. Now, 62% expect to become digitally mature or a leader by 2020. We discussed what we meant by maturity and leadership earlier. Now, how do I change my talent, my people? 50% of the banks see heightening employee engagement and productivity as a primary reason for investing in technology. So this is something I think in Lebanon probably it's gonna not necessarily a challenge, I hope. In terms of are we sufficiently considering new risks? Example, cybersecurity, which is now really the top #1 key risk area. 58% of banks are planning to invest in technology to mitigate cyber attacks or risks and threats, although enhancing cyber and data security is the #1 priority in their area. Now, the last question, how do I transform my technology and the technology organization? 42% of banks expect rising technology budgets to have a very positive impact on IT. So, having gone through these 6, I know we're already probably on time, but does anyone want to share their experience in terms of where do you stand compared to these 6 questions? Maybe, I mean, since you started, do you still think you're in a mature stage by looking at these 6 areas?
Yes, as I mentioned before, that the people who are working on the digital transformation, they are aware of these, especially cybersecurity. They are really working on this. They are, and maybe they're developing most of the things in-house, and I don't know how much this will be effective in the future. So maybe they need more expertise.
Second opinion. Okay, we can answer that probably afterwards. Okay. Anybody? Sorry. Actually, I'll send you a detailed report. I'll share with you a detailed report, which has more info. Anybody has any question? Thank you very much.